Okay. Let me show you something. Everyone's saying crash out Rob, crash out Rob. Yo, I don't know what to tell you. I picked this name at the start of the fourth quarter. Look, man. Today on my timeline, the Toronto Raptors lost, by the way, to anyone who wants to, say they tuned out in the third quarter. It's an easy, toasty win. The Raptors did it again. They did it again. And Scottie Barnes, you are not immune. Yes, at one point in this game, you were plus 24, but you got some mud on your face in this game, too, because you were on the court as your team lost the lead. And quite frankly, you watched it happen. And where I come from, innocent bystanders are guilty by association. So, Scottie Barnes, you take the L today, too. If this game ultimately boiled down to RJ Barrett making a case to not be traded, it failed miserably. If this game was about Brandon Ingram trying to show a national, international audience on American TV who he is and what he's about, I get professional pride, but man, this is 2 games in a row of Ingram all-star auditions, and quite frankly, it's just kind of getting predictable at this point. Ingram cooks, Ingram plays well, the team falls apart. I don't think the net rating is lying to you. The Raptors have been better with Ingram on the bench this year, and that's largely because the Raptors have no idea how to use Brandon Ingram, largely because they have players who defer to him like he's Kevin Durant, and he's not. You can make him look like it, but the true shooting percentage ain't lying to you. Today on my timeline, a video crept up, and it made me really sad. And it basically said the Toronto Raptors are frauds, and it was a PC video. And who is roasting the Toronto Raptors in that PC video to start? It's me. It's me. It's me roasting my own team. Now, this is not where I want to be, man. But I can't lie to you. I can't lie to you and tell you I'm not seeing what I'm seeing. I can't lie to you and be like, oh, yeah, the Raptors are 16-3 in RJ Barrett's last 19 games. So RJ Barrett must stay forever. I'm not a stupid person. I don't care about the results. I care about the process, see what I'm watching on the court. I know how it's going to translate based on 30 years of watching NBA basketball, how this stuff is going to translate when we get to the playoffs. I understand okay, look, to put this into perspective, I think Scottie Barnes played a phenomenal floor game. I think Brandon Ingram was dissecting the crap out of this defense. I think Colin Murray-Boyles possibly saved one of his worst games of his life at any level for a nationally broadcast game, which is bad timing, but I'm not about to crash out on Colin Murray-Boyles. I do think Darko Rajakovic deserves a healthy dose of criticism for keeping Jacoby Walter on the bench in the fourth quarter as the Raptors completely squandered the lead. But the Raptors walked in comfortably ahead in this game. That win probability ain't lying to you, bro. Like at the beginning, in the middle of the second quarter, the Raptors took a lead and they kept that lead and they kept it for a very large portion of this game, to the point where the Raptors in the fourth quarter, right heading into the fourth quarter, were 95% favored to win this game per ESPN's probability game flow. Do you understand? 97-83. That is a 14-point deficit against a team that can't buy a shot, against a team whose superstar, quote unquote, star player at that point hadn't shown up, against a team that couldn't shoot, against a team where T-Rex Arms was flailing around doing absolutely jack shit for most of the game, against a team that just wasn't getting back in transition, against a team that, frankly, the crowd was out of it. And somewhere, RJ Barrett hits that shot. And honestly, right towards that, like, it started to fade, right? If we're being honest, it started to fade right in the beginning of the fourth quarter. You felt it. You felt it right there. 95%. That's the best it ever got. Sandro Mamukelashvili makes a 4-foot hook shot. And that's where it started to go south. And you started to see it in the energy. You started to see it in the, and I'm like, this is gonna probably be. Now I'm not gonna act like I knew the Raptors were gonna lose this game. But when the Raptors had like a 12 to 13 point game, I'm like, this is gonna be a game that's decided by 1 point. There's no chance that this team was gonna withstand a 10-0 run from the Magic, and I was banking on it. But I expected this team to do something about it, and they didn't. They just allowed themselves to get embarrassed so badly. At the 10-minute mark, I can't remember who came in, but Scottie was a late sub because Darko decided, wait a second, my team is falling apart. Let me get the guy who's plus 24 into the game. The referees did not allow it. They forced Scottie to sit an extra minute. Darko is forced to call a timeout, at which point Scottie comes in the midst of what is already an Orlando run. And it was too late. There's a theory in basketball that it takes you about 2 to 3 possessions to get your legs underneath you, so you don't wanna be putting a guy in the middle of a run. You wanna put him in the second you sniff it out because this is a game you needed to win. This is a second night in a back to in a row, really, that the Toronto Raptors have lost a game that they positively 100% had already won. This is the second night in a row where the Toronto Raptors get a masterclass for 2.5 quarters from Scottie Barnes, which completely fades into nothing in the fourth quarter. Am I crazy? Or was Scottie Barnes, even in the midst of his second year slump where everyone swore the dude was terrible, he was one of the top 5 clutch players in the league? What happened? What happened to that dude? I'll tell you something. Scottie is still the best clutch scorer in terms of efficiency on this team. Tonight, he did not show up. He didn't show up in the fourth quarter. There were a couple plays where he got assertive. Three plays where he got assertive. One time he got blocked. One time he got stripped, and one time he threw up a crazy shot and somehow was gifted free throws. This is not the Scottie Barnes that the Raptors needed. And quite frankly, this is not the RJ Barrett that the Raptors need. This is not the Emmanuel Quickley the Raptors need. This is not the Colin Murray Boyles the Raptors need. The Raptors got stomped. I will let you know about the haves and have-nots. There's a player tonight who was suited on the Orlando Magic bench. His name is Goga Batase. He played a grand total of 0 minutes tonight for Jacques Vaughn's team. I will guarantee you that dude tomorrow would play 30 minutes as a starting center for the Toronto Raptors. This is the point. You're small. You're small. Every 7-footer feels huge to you. Now, credit to the Raptors. They did a good job. Wendell Carter, Jonathan Isaac. They had four guys. Four guys. Paolo is 6'10". Jonathan Isaac 6'11". Wendell is about 6'10". They brought in Mo Wagner at some point. He's about 7 feet. This team is large. Okay. Jalen Suggs is just a really big dude when it comes to guards. You know, he's 6'4", 6'5". So they're just bigger than you across the board. And even without Franz Wagner, who, by the way, himself is about 6'10", this is just a very large team. And the Raptors are a very small team. So even though the Raptors ran and they're excellent pace, the Raptors offense was beautiful tonight with Scottie. Connective passing, transition passing, getting to the, getting 2 feet in the paint and just dissecting the crap out of this team. But there were holes, man. There were holes throughout the game. Emmanuel Quickley had a pretty big disaster class. I think RJ Barrett played like absolute shit, even though he had a couple of good plays. I think Brandon Ingram maybe, went into a little bit of a ball hog mode, but he was efficient and he shot 13 for 23, so no one's going to really say shit. But there were so many times where I think a really tough shot by Brandon Ingram just meant like nobody else touched the basketball. Emmanuel Quickley's decision making needs, honestly, a documentary at this point. So many times where there's an easy pass to a roller, and Emmanuel Quickley's like, "No, RJ, this is your possession. Let's give it to RJ. No, not Sandro Mamakaliashvili cutting to the basket. No, it's RJ." So many times where Emmanuel Quickley called his own number. The embarrassing part about this game is this was a 10-point loss at the end. Quite frankly, it probably could have been a 20-point loss if the Magic kept their foot on their necks. And the Raptors were still trying to stat pad randomly with 12 seconds to go. Just run out the clock, man. Run out the clock. You're on national television. Act like you've been here before. It's trying to stat pad and take threes to cut a 10-point lead to a 7-point lead with 7 seconds to go. No, man, like this is just bad sportsmanship. Speaking of bad sportsmanship, I do think the referees were a little bit biased tonight. But you know what? The Raptors had a lot of self-inflicted bullshit happen. Desmond Bane pulls Emmanuel Quickley down, clearly a flagrant foul. The referees call it, but Ochai Baji decides to get a technical foul for no effing reason whatsoever. Bro, if you're going to get a technical foul on that type of thing, I'm going to need you to do something more than run up on a guy. Like throw a punch. Just get yourself kicked out of the game. Do something. And, in that moment, I was like, you know what? I don't think the Raptors really are a tougher team than the Orlando Magic. I don't think anyone on this team is tougher than Jalen Suggs. I don't really want to get into a fight with the Orlando Magic. Is that weird to say about your own team, that your team doesn't have that toughness, that your team is basically a bunch of finesse guys who like to take jump shots and cry about calls? I'm not really even trying to be mean about it, but it's just the truth. I've been watching this team for a long time. They're a little bit soft. They have a softness gene. Like they have a problem with this softness stuff. Jamal ain't soft. Jacoby ain't soft. CMB ain't soft. Scottie ain't soft. Everybody else kind of soft. You know, you punch them a little bit, you get physical with them, and they start crying for fouls. They start throwing the ball away. Speaking of throwing the ball away, my God, some of the transition executions from Scottie, but also from CMB, just really terrible. I understand CMB's got an injury on his hand. He's pushing through it. It's not like he played a terrible game. He just had three very loud, bad plays. There was the transition pass. There was the almost like there, I think it was like a smoked layup, or there's the play where he's right underneath the basket. One time in the first half, one time in the second half. First time in the first half, he doesn't even look at the basket. And of course, a very obvious, loud play, which is going to ring very loud in people's minds. And people are probably going to say, this is the guy you don't want to trade for Giannis. Yo, Raptor fans, can we please stay off the internet while we're being crazy? Can we please stay off the internet for a second? Can we please not be telling other fan bases that we're not willing to include this guy in a package for Giannis Antetokounmpo? I'm not pro trade CMB, but I am pro trade CMB if it gets us Giannis. Sorry, I know I kind of cooked the Raptors media for saying the exact same thing about Scottie Barnes, so I understand that I may seem hypocritical, but Scottie Barnes is a legit like he's going to be one of the 10 best players in the NBA. If you feel that level of upside for Colin Murray Boyles, I don't know what to tell you. I don't think so. I don't think that's coming. I don't think that's coming. So if a team is willing to give you a superstar for Colin Murray Boyles, I think you might have to explore that because this is a guy who is probably for the rest of his life going to really, really struggle finishing over length. It's the same issue we saw last year with Jonathan Mobo. You cannot have a player who is 6'6" who cannot shoot and whose primary role is underneath the basket. There are trees down there, and you're not going to be able to score above them. Like, again, I will remind you, Goga Batadze is one of the foundationally best shot blockers in the NBA, bar none. That dude didn't play for them tonight, and he was perfectly healthy and capable of doing so. If he plays tonight, credit to Jacques Vaughn for not playing your best shot blocker. I think the Raptors have an even harder time scoring at the rim. There's some issues here. It's one thing if Colin Murray Boyles can develop, Draymond-esque passing and, driving of the offense, but how many Draymonds do you want on the same team? I think there's some considerable questions that I have about Bobby Webster's ability to spot his own bullshit, and I certainly hope that this is not a team that is buying its own hype. The issues are real. The issues are very real with this team. There is nobody who has the composure to run a pick and roll and can actually physically take on a defender, get 2 feet in the paint, and dissect the paint. Now, obviously, future version of Scottie Barnes, maybe he can do it. Maybe. If Jacoby Walter gets way better, maybe he could do it. Maybe. I doubt it. I have doubts. I think that the player that you're looking for is probably in this year's draft, and you're not going to draft high enough to get him. There's probably another player that you could probably look at. I don't think the Raptors need a superstar. I just think they need a competent guy who can do this. And Emmanuel Quickley ain't it. The fact that he is the Eastern Conference Player of the Week is honestly like, that's crazy to me. Crazy. Player of the Week? You telling me that an entire conference, man, the Eastern Conference really is cooked. Emmanuel Quickley, Player of the Week. Let's take a look at the box score. It does not tell the entire truth, in my opinion. But Emmanuel Quickley managed to be negative 16 in 33 minutes, and Jacoby Walter managed to be positive 13 in 16 minutes. You would think, maybe, given that Jacoby had 13 points and Emmanuel had 13 points, that maybe Jacoby Walter could have sniffed some fucking fourth quarter minutes. You think so? Maybe? Like maybe we reward the guy who's tenaciously playing great defense and has been part of like 3 successful positive flows for the Raptors. Like the Raptors game flow could basically be summed up in was Scottie on the court or was he not? Like the Raptors get into a hole, right? In the first, little bit, the Raptors get into a hole, but eventually the Raptors climb back. Scottie goes out of the game. Orlando picks up a lead. Scottie comes back in the game. The Raptors pick up the lead again. Scottie goes out. Orlando picks up a lead. Scottie comes back in. Boom. The Raptors are up big. Scottie goes out. This is where Scottie went out, by the way. Boom, 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 boom. See what happened there? Yeah, it became 80-80. Scottie comes back in. You build up this huge lead. Scottie goes out. You lose the lead again. Scottie comes back in. You can't turn the water off. That's really what it was. But it wasn't just Scottie Barnes. It was a combination of Scottie and Jacoby. Very often it was Scottie and Jacoby. taking on, and it's not just that they were dominating second units. They weren't just dominating second units. Paolo was on the court for a lot of those minutes. So was Jalen Suggs. So was Desmond Bane. The lineups were mixed. But quite frankly, again, it just kind of comes down to this decision making. The film study will be very telling tonight. The Raptors get 35 very efficient points for Brandon Ingram. Shout outs to Brandon Ingram. If I had any inclinations of trading him, I'd be like, this is probably good for his trade value. I don't have any desire to trade Brandon Ingram. I once again do not hold Brandon Ingram responsible for the amount of ball watching that this team does when he has the basketball. I will, however, hold him responsible for the lack of recognition of double teams when he has the basketball. His court awareness is so poor sometimes when he starts to get tunnel vision. And I'm just like, yo, you can't have three players doing the same bullshit. RJ has tunnel vision consistently. IQ has tunnel vision like from birth. Brandon Ingram cannot also have tunnel vision. There are many, many games where Brandon Ingram has been a willing facilitator of the offense. But tonight, honestly, they put him into a situation where he wanted to get into rhythm because they guarded him one-on-one with Tristan da Silva. And if you're going to guard Brandon Ingram and Tristan da Silva, honestly, I'm like, take 50 shots. I don't care. But get better shots than some of the shots we're taking. If Tristan da Silva is such a mismatch, then you should be taking him to the line. You should be getting to the basket. You should be taking more threes. Instead, Ingram is willing to settle for long twos. And as you get further and further into the game, the more he shoots, the more tired he gets. Extensive defensive toll being put on Brandon Ingram, and suddenly you're going to have some short jumpers. If Brandon Ingram goes cold, well, everybody else is already cold because no one has touched the ball in 4 minutes. This is kind of the point, and this has happened back-to-back games now for the Raptors. Speaking of, RJ Barrett goes 0 for 5 from 3. Scottie Barnes goes 0 for 3 from 3. That is a problem. Those two cannot go 0 for 8 from 3 as often as they do, and they have been really shooting blanks for a while now. I do think some of the shots that Scottie took from 3, at least a couple, one was completely wide open, one was a bit of a bailout for the offense. I don't even think he wants to take threes right now. RJ, on the other hand, really does seem to want to take threes right now. He thinks it's part of his game. It ain't. 6 for 14 from from RJ for 16 points, 19 points versus Scottie on 7 for 13. Why Scottie Barnes is taking the same number of shots as Emmanuel Quickley when he clearly was playing a better game, I don't know. But hey, man, shout outs to Scottie. This is the 4th straight game with RJ Barrett back where Scottie has failed to score 20 points. And he was averaging 24 in the 7 games leading up to RJ Barrett coming back. The Raptors were rolling. And so to anyone, the Shannons of the world, who want to say, well, RJ Barrett is great for offense. Yeah, sure. He is good for offense, but he is not the miracle cure that you want to present him as. He is not some, oh my God, we can't trade him. We'll lose everything. No, he is just a better version of himself than anyone else on this team. And yes, getting to the rim is very important when everybody on your team cannot create a jump shot and cannot create a shot at the rim. It's important. He is an important basketball player, but he has to lock in defensively. He hasn't been great defensively. There's time after time after time where he got cooked. I appreciate the effort. It's not for a lack of trying. It is for a lot. Like, look, who are you going to pick on with Brandon Ingram, Scottie Barnes, CMB, and Emmanuel Quickley and RJ Barrett on the court? Honestly, there's a very obvious player to pick on in that unit. There's a second player to pick on. And if you can involve those two in a ball screen, it's pretty much going to be chaos for the rest of the team. Now, in the beginning of the game, Scottie can clean it up. He can get blocks. CMB can get tips. But it's just putting a lot on your team to have to make up for it. At this point, I think maybe the Raptors really desperately need to look at Day'Ron Sharpe and Keon Ellis. Like, these are two very positive defenders. They would unlock easier defense for the Raptors so that they don't have to spend themselves as much as they do right now. Off the bench, Sandro Mamukelashvili was largely insignificant for most of the game, but overall he ends up getting 8 points by the end, scores some points late at the line. Jacoby Walter was fantastic. I loved Jacoby's game tonight. Grady kind of got shafted, only took one shot, got a quick hook. I don't really think he played that badly, but hey, man, what do I know? I'm not a professional coach. I don't think he played that badly. Ochai did play that badly. Fun fact, Ochai Agbaji and Darko Rajakovic combined for a zero points tonight. Neither one of them scored a single point for the Raptors, but they did cost the Raptors 2 points tonight. Darko picks up a technical foul on what he perceived to be a obvious travel on Wendell Carter. And it's kind of interesting that that was kind of the point where the Raptors sort of started to lose their composure. If we're being honest, that's kind of where it was. For the Magic, Paolo Banchero started horribly, horribly. Just I think he had 6 or 7 points at one point. He finishes the game with 29 and 6, pretty much matching Scottie's production of 19, 9, and 6. Scottie did have 4 blocks, which was incredible. Really, really great. Great, point saving possessions. Like, there are some blocks where, you tip a really bad 3-point shooter, but there are blocks at the rim where you're saving your team from a wide open dunk. Scottie had like more of the latter variety. So, shout outs to Scottie for saving this team 8 points. I'm sure on the plane ride, Scottie will be looking at himself in the mirror and saying, what the fuck was the point of burning myself out in the first quarter if my team was just going to do this shit in the second half? The fourth quarter was bad for the Raptors, man. 44-21. You got outscored 44-21 a game after the almost exact same thing happened. And at some point, it just felt like the Raptors didn't want to compete anymore. The Magic get a miraculous game from Desmond Bane, especially in the second half. He gets 32 points on 15 shots, kind of making up for the fact that the Orlando Magic had to give up 500 first-round picks to get him. Wendell Carter finishes the game with 23 points and 7 rebounds, a lot of which were just open dunks, wide open dunks where the Raptors just refused to recover. There was a lot of, I think a lot went into the defensive downtick of the Raptors. Obviously, their point of attack defense wasn't great. They weren't great containing the ball in the second half. Fourth quarter was really rough in that regard. But also when Scottie Barnes picked up his 4th foul, I think he became a little too cautious. Ain't no point in saving up for that 5th and 6th foul if your team is about to lose by 15, man. You just got to dial it up. And these referees, sometimes they're just taking Scottie out of these games. Shout outs to Anthony Black. He had 25 points tonight. Got to the line 14 fucking times. Cannot believe it. The Magic total get to the line 37 times. The Raptors get to the line 32 times. Again, 2 of those free throws were gifts. I'm very impressed with how far Anthony Black has come. I was very, very high on him at the draft, if you remember. And I'm genuinely like, I sort of soured on him after his rookie season, and I wish I hadn't sold as much stock on him as I did. He has really turned it around. He's been a huge part of what they do. And, when Franz Wagner comes back, and obviously I'm very high on Franz Wagner as well, I really do wonder, is he too good to put on the bench now? And do they play small? This is not a team you want to see in the first round. If you're the Toronto Raptors, yes, they are technically worse than you by the record, 25-22. But if you caught my segment on the player's choice thing, you'll understand. And if you caught my live earlier today, you'll understand that I don't really care about the Raptors record. In fact, I was the dumbass who said this team was going to be a 50-win team this year. And instead of victory lapping that I'm a fucking prophet, I'm actually saying whether they are or not is insignificant to me. It's inconsequential to me. It's nice to get all those wins, but I have to see it against teams that are good. I have to see it against teams that are healthy. I have to see the process match the results. And the only thing that I can really say that's really overwhelmingly positive about the Raptors right now is they have a top 5 defense and they have the best clutch defense in the NBA, and that they are a good comeback team and they've been a good road team. Other than that, I think this team has a ton of issues, from offensive process to pecking order to toughness to size to health to redundancy, roster redundancy, spacing, and decision making from their lead guard is atrocious. And tonight it showed up. You just don't have a guy who can get you that. The Magic's bench was pretty much all negative. Tristan Da Silva, Jonathan Isaac was -13. Mo Wagner in his 3 minutes was -9. The Raptors really exploited that matchup tremendously. And Tyus Jones in his 10 minutes was -5. Not to overstress the plus minus, but their starters whooped the crap out of our starters. There was one exception to that rule. And of course, in a game that you lost by 10, Scottie Barnes was +6, which means that in the 12 minutes that Scottie did not play, you lost this game by what? Do the math. So it was tough. It was tough. Let's take a look at some of the plays. A lot of this is going to be positive because, again, for the first half, I actually thought the Raptors might win this game. But somewhere in the third quarter, started to feel very, very uncomfortable with this game. And that's kind of where we're at right now. I said insane pass by Brandon Ingram. Don't know if this is going to show up. Yeah. I mean, this is tough. This is just tough. Here, just beating the crap out of Tyus Jones here. Ingram got wherever he wanted. And here, look, Colin Murray Boyles. This is all we're asking of you. Don't bring it down and just go up. Just go up. It's not Victor Wembanyama down there. It's Wendell Carter. They ain't the same player. I said Scottie Barnes, defensive player of the case in one play. So many times tonight, Scottie is able to turn defense into offense. And again, lost in probably what is likely a very frustrating game for Raptor fans is that Scottie's first half needs to be studied. Like, it was great. He played great. And no, this is not one of those things where, oh, when Scottie plays great, the Raptors lose. No, with him on the court, they were awesome. Unless you want to blame Scottie for what's happening on the court when he's on the bench, I really don't see how you can pin this loss on Scottie Barnes, other than the fact to say, when it came down to the fourth quarter, did he demand touches? Did he say, okay, it's on me, this is my team? I think Scottie Barnes maybe needs a reality check on who he's deferring to, because very often he's deferring to Sandro Mamukelashvili, Emmanuel Quickly. Like, there's one thing to be a gracious teammate. There's one thing to be, you know, understanding that your teammates deserve to have the ball. It's another thing to defer to players who are vastly inferior to you. And Scottie is unselfish to a fault. Now, I understand you want to be a point guard, but until you play with Steph Curry and Kevin Durant, this shit ain't going to work. And yes, I know that I just made a bit of a reference to Draymond Green, but that's kind of the point. Scottie wants to play this role. He wants to get 15 assists. He wants this role. That's cool. But Jamal Shed and Manuel Quickley and RJ Barrett are not Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Mr. Magic Johnson. Like, you're not going to be able to win games this way. So if winning is important to you, take over. This is the same thing as the Fred and Pascal thing, where, and again, this is a brilliant play here. First of all, the Magic guarding Brandon Ingram one-on-one with Tristan Silva. Tristan Silva is a fine defender. He's not a great defender. He's not a lockdown defender. I don't think Ingram can be guarded one-on-one. I think he can be guarded one-on-one and a half, which means I think you need to add some support. Here, Paolo, no support. So here, the support comes from Jonathan Isaac. Now, Ingram brilliantly passes to a player who is going to make the right play here. Tyus Jones clearly does not understand that Jamal Shed is not a good shooter, but Shed, without projecting, see, he doesn't look at Ingram. Without projecting, he just makes the pass to Ingram. Tristan Silva and Jonathan Isaac cannot recover in time. Ingram, this is the shot. This is the shot. If you want to take a shot, this is the shot. See, I don't have an issue with Brandon Ingram scoring 40 points if it's largely on plays like this. This was a defensive breakdown. But back cutting to the basket, too often, Ingram goes into Cam Thomas basketball. That, to me, is losing basketball. This is a losing. Unfortunately, as much as I love Brandon Ingram, he has some serious losing habits. He's doing his best, for sure, but he has some losing habits, especially offensively. Here, Scottie Barnes says, get this shit out of here. And immediately, it results in 2 points for Jacoby Walter. Now, what did we say about the Toronto Raptors? The Raptors are a top 5 defense. They are number 1 in transition points. You know what's probably going to go away in the playoffs? These types of easy buckets that are sustaining the Raptors offense. You know what's probably going to happen in the playoffs? Hate to think about the playoffs, but the playoffs are like 32 games away. You're probably going to have to rely a lot more on half-court offense. So these easy buckets that Scottie is able to generate from his defensive playmaking are not going to be there. In fact, I believe that the single biggest reason that the Raptors are a top 5 defense, the best clutch defense in the NBA, is because Scottie Barnes is that dude. I think if you put better players around him, you would see this better. If you could put, no, I'm not suggesting trading Scottie, but please understand what I'm saying. If I could put Scottie Barnes in place of Miles Bridges in Charlotte, and so the other 4 players are LaMelo Ball, Brandon Miller, Con Knipple, and Moussa Diabate, with Sion James and Colin Sexton and Ryan Cockbrenner coming off the bench, I would pick that team to come out of the East. That's the gap between Scottie Barnes and Miles Bridges to me, because he would basically take that team into a completely different stratosphere defensively. The problem here is there's no one as offensively gifted as LaMelo Ball here. There's no shooter as sure as Con Knipple. The Raptors are failing Scottie Barnes in a very significant way. And a lot of fans want to be split down the middle and say, well, why can't Scottie do this and why can't Scottie do that? Well, that's not his game. I mean, it can be, maybe someday it will be his game. But right now, his game is not to take three defenders off the dribble and, float over them. Apparently, his game is not even to hit threes right now. Scottie's got to hit threes to make this all crisp, but it's not going to happen if he keeps deferring to Brandon Ingram and RJ Barrett in the clutch. It's just bad process. Moving on. Toronto should trade for Suggs. See, I said this when the Raptors were up a bit. This is just great defense, and this is the first sign. Like when I saw Jalen Suggs was playing tonight, my first thought was, I don't think the Raptors are going to win this game. Now, obviously, when I saw how Scottie Barnes was playing tonight, I'm like, okay, maybe the Raptors can win this game. But Jalen Suggs just delayed so much, and this is to end the quarter here. And Sandro Mamukelashvili, it's just the Raptors are really good at doing this. But I think this is where a guy like Suggs or even Keon Ellis would really come in and help you because they are so much they're naturally gifted at the type of defense you want to play. You have a lot of players who are trying their best between Emmanuel Quickley, RJ Barrett, Brandon Ingram, whatever, but none of them are as naturally gifted defensively as Keon Ellis or Jalen Suggs. So find those players. Find the players who are not complete negatives offensively, but can actually play your style defensively. And if the Raptors already knew what style defensively they wanted to play, it makes sense that they're drafting guys like Jonathan Mobo and CMB, but maybe find more offensively slanted players who aren't so redundant. Here, Jalen Suggs, shout out to Jalen Suggs, man. Hanging on to that little bit of hair he has. Here, he misses this. And if you're thinking, man, on national television, we missing open threes, RJ Barrett said, hold my beer, bro. I got you. Didn't even connect. He didn't even touch the rim. This is a professional basketball player, bro. This is bad. Okay. Desmond Bane throws Emmanuel Quickley down, which shows me that Desmond Bane is clearly a fucking fan of PENSARE Basketball. Okay. So here, Ochai Agbaji decides, yo, that's my teammate. That's my point guard. Okay. Immediately. Technical foul. Emmanuel Quickley draws the flagrant foul, if you will. He goes to the line, misses both free throws, and Desmond Bane connects on the technical free throw by Ochai Agbaji, which adds insult to injury because they make the mistake and you pay for it with 1 point. Sad. Okay. Now here, the Raptors are up, down 4. Screen. Colin Murray-Boyles completely fucks this up. You cannot give this much space to Desmond Bane. Desmond Bane says, no worries, Rook. I got your back. Now, this is the play. This is the play that everybody wants to dissect and say CMB is so trash because he made this play. Look, if you're Sandro Mamukelashvili, this is cute, but Now, why does Colin Murray-Boyles not go over? That is a point guard in the paint. That's Anthony Black. Now, I'm not saying Anthony Black can't block you, but this is an open dunk. You cannot be passing up an open dunk to give up a 3 to Emmanuel Quickley. Even worse, you definitely can't be throwing it to Jamal Shed. It's just bad. Bad. But you know what? It's not that egregious. It's pretty egregious. I'm giving him grace points because he's a rookie. Once again, turning defense into offense. The Toronto Raptors get a stop. I said at this point, the Raptors are, it's a 1 point deficit. They would soon take the lead going into halftime. Look at this beautiful play by Scottie Barnes. And look at the easiness. Now, this is Jalen Suggs. He doesn't make a lot of mistakes defensively, but he thought there's no way Scottie's going to thread the needle on this. And CMB gets the easiest 2 points he got all night, especially the ones that he took. I said, I do not trust Emmanuel Quickley with snap decisions in transition, and I really don't. Watch this. So here, Scottie Barnes gets the rebound. Lazy defense by the Magic. Why? Why even pass this to Emmanuel Quickley? Right? Now, IQ here. Flip this back to Scottie, man. Flip this back to Scottie. He's got a one-on-one with Wendell Carter at the rim. You've drawn a double for some inexplicable reason because Paolo is an awful defender. Okay, I get it. You're going to pass to RJ Barrett. So RJ Barrett, go downhill, slash, Paolo ain't going to recover, and slip it to Scottie. It's an easy dunk. Okay, we're doing it. But Anthony Black gets in the way. And we got a turnover. No, we don't, because the guy who everybody wants to roast tonight just takes it away. And this is somehow how the Raptors were putting together points. Now, is that a possession you want to replicate 10 times? I certainly don't think so. But hey, man, it went in. Okay. Here, Emmanuel Quickly doing a pretty good job defensively here. Jacoby Walter doing a pretty good job defensively here. Scottie Barnes doing a good job defensively here. So 3 guys participate defensively to make this play. 3.1 seconds on the clock. This is to end the half. 2 seconds, 1.5 seconds, 1.2 seconds, 1.1 seconds. And heads up to Jacoby Walter for having the presence of mind, knowing time and clock, time and situation. The Raptors, that was one of my plays of the night. That was incredible. That was some Kevin Love, Nikola Jokic, LeBron James. You can name the number of players in NBA history who make that pass successfully, that on time, that on target, off a rebound while moving to a moving target. You can cut it down to about 20 players in NBA history who could have made that pass and can successfully replicate that pass over and over. That's not an easy pass to throw. And if you ever want any evidence of that, why don't you go to the playground right now and try to make that pass on a regular Toronto asphalt court, which is smaller than an NBA court. Just try to make it on an NBA court. With 3 seconds to go, try to hit a moving target like that. That's some football shit, bro. It's not that easy, especially cutting through defense. I said watching Emmanuel Quickly is taking years off my life. And I meant it. It's not a fun experience. Okay. I want this guy to do well, but I don't want him to make decisions within the offense that require him to. Now, how do you not make this pass? Okay. Slip it through. Pass it with your left hand. Jalen Suggs is not recovering. Okay. You missed the window. You don't want to throw the pass. Lob it. Lob it up. Throw it up. He's 5 inches taller than the other player. Just throw it up at the rim. He can dunk. He's not me. He's not you. He can dunk. Throw it at the rim. Nope. Not going to do that. Now, anyone want to guess where this ball is going instead of to Scottie Barnes? Anyone? Anyone want to guess? Yep. It's going to RJ Barrett, who makes the right play. Shout outs to RJ Barrett, which goes to CMB, who makes the right play. Goes to Scottie Barnes. I'm not sure I would prefer that, but fine. You want to hit Brandon Ingram for a wide open 3? Great. What did I say? These are the shots. I don't care if Brandon Ingram takes 50 of these shots. These are great shots. But if you go through every single shot that Brandon Ingram took tonight, I'll guarantee you these are some of the better ones. Okay? This is the play where CMB turns it over in transition. We don't need to watch that again. It's just it's beating a dead horse at this point. The Raptors are up 7. Sorry, up 5 here. Bad math there. Scottie Barnes, another play where defense is going to turn into offense. Jamal Shed patiently waits, tries to beat Jonathan Isaac off the dribble, can't. Jacoby Walter takes Jalen Suggs. Jacoby, always a willing passer to Scottie Barnes, and Scottie gets the and one. And a personal 5-0 run right there for Scottie Barnes. I said Mo Wagner. Well, I said no Wagner. Just ran into a wall, and that wall is named Scottie Barnes. They may have taken down the wall in Berlin. You ain't taking down this wall. That was his 4th block of the night. Okay. I said RJ Barrett with an insane buzzer beater because I am not a hater. And when he does cool things, you got to give him credit. This was probably a mess created of his own construction. Maybe you say Mamu was wide open, but RJ Barrett wanted to hit the shot. And you know the rule in basketball, right? If a guy hits a shot, you can't criticize it. So shout outs to RJ Barrett for hitting this 1 foot fade away over a great defender. That's about as tough a shot as you're ever going to see him make. Cool. I said here, Ingram bails out Toronto, then they completely failed to cover Paolo drive, FML. So here, the Raptors were struggling, right? Scottie had been on the court for about a minute. The Magic had scored about 4 points straight, and the lead was down to 8. The lead had gone from 12, I think 13 points at its height, 14 points at its height, and now it was down to 8. And now it's down to 4. So you desperately need this shot from Brandon Ingram. Is this a good shot? Not really, but that's kind of his bread and butter. I don't really have a problem with you taking these shots later in the clock, right? 10 seconds to go on the clock, maybe find something better. Confidence is a thing, but this is a fadeaway jump shot over very little motion. You don't have positive offensive rebounding position. You haven't done anything to shift the defense. This is just me. I'm gonna make something happen on national television bullshit, and it's fine. It goes in. What happens is the Raptors get a 6 point lead. Jalen Suggs is gonna bump Emmanuel quickly here. Ball goes out to Paolo. We are in good positions right now. Okay. Paolo on Scottie is a positive matchup. IQ on Jalen Suggs is a positive matchup. So obviously, Paolo wants a switch. He wants to switch. Jalen Suggs maybe gets away with a little bit of a shove here. Now, Emmanuel quickly on Paolo. You need to guard him. You have obviously been pushed. They didn't call it. Fine. You need to guard him. You can't, however, kind of wassa this bullshit. You can't half it. Okay. You cannot be like, okay, and then just get moved and then not offer any resistance. And now Scottie's late and he can't get in. And it's just like, if you're Scottie, maybe just realize who your teammates are. Mama picks up a foul for no fucking reason whatsoever. And it's just because Emmanuel quickly just sold that play. Like, I understand he's a big human being. Cool. It's fine. Okay, wait. Probably gonna get demonetized for how much of the clips I'm showing, but I feel like some of these plays are really like we need to see these. Apparently, we don't agree. Here, Scottie Barnes off of a blitz trap on Jamal Shed, where he's complaining to the referee right now because, why not? Scottie is going to get downhill, make a perfect pass to CMB. Now, in this position, how the hell do you not dunk? You're stupid. Like, you're legitimately stupid. And you should probably get like what's wrong with you? How many negative things have I said about Scottie during this podcast? You hear what you want to hear because you're a dumbass. That's the point. Okay. Saint 520. Yo, honestly, maybe we need to have red flags in our society for people who call themselves saint. You know what you are, motherfucker? You're like an NPC. You know what I mean? You're an NPC. You know how you go up to a fucking character in GTA and you're pointing a gun and then the person is just like, "Have a nice day." You're like, "Bro, you're an NPC. You are an NPC." Okay? So, congratulations. Let your parents know they produced a fucking NPC. Okay, moving on. Now, CMB just getting clamped here. Don't bring the ball down, bro. Just don't bring the ball down. Why would you bring the ball down in this situation? Just go up. I don't care. You don't have to dunk this. There's nobody here who can block you. This ain't Wemby. Once again, it's Wendell Carter. This just ain't it. Like, you don't have to overthink this so much. And yeah, that's just kind of where I'm at. This play right here is not loading. Thank you to X, I guess. Or is it loading? Huh, it's loading now. Perfect. I don't have an issue with Emmanuel Quickly's defense. This is a great screen by Paolo. Maybe gets away with a little bit there. This is a great effort by Emmanuel Quickly. Unfortunately, Jalen Suggs just makes a really, really difficult shot. That is a 30% three-point shooter. Yes, if you're doing the math, Jalen Suggs is technically shooting worse than Scottie Barnes from three. But hey, man, I said, good job, RJ. The Raptors are down 5 at this point. So yes, the lead has completely evaporated. The wheels have fallen off. But here, shout outs to RJ Barrett, still competing. Desmond Bane loses the basketball here, tries to flop a little bit. No problem. Okay. Now, RJ Barrett taking Wendell Carter at the rim, usually going to result in nothing. But here, he falls backwards and he gets a sympathy call. I'm not even being a hater. That's a sympathy call. Okay. You barely got touched. Can we look at that again? Watch this play. Okay. I know the referees were slanted towards Orlando tonight. This is the foul right there. The foul is on the gather, not on the shot. Here, he has just completely taken the chair out from underneath you, and you just decided to throw it up like that and get fouled. I'm telling you right now, there are so many times where that is not going to get called. You're foul baiting. You don't have the talent to create the foul clearly, like Shea. You're not Shea. You're not going to be able to do that in the playoffs. And I'll tell you right now, if a defender fouls you and they pull the chair out from underneath you and you try doing that bullshit, they're just going to let it go. Um, I said you could see this collapse coming from a mile away. To be honest, this team has size and toughness issues, and these issues will only be further exacerbated in the playoffs. Absolutely, 100%. I said, dribble out the clock and take your L. Why are you taking these fucking stupid ass shots? And I fully believe that, man. I don't care about the sports betting. I don't care about the lines. I really don't give a shit about any of that stuff. I really don't. What I do care about is that you are not taking shots like this for no reason whatsoever. This is not one of those, well, like the Hanson Yang, Caleb Love thing the other day where, at least the fans get something, or like some McDonald's bullshit if they get 100 points. There's no point in doing this at all. Ingram took 3 threes down the stretch trying to chase 38 points for some reason. And it's just like, look, people telling themselves all the time, okay? All the time, people telling themselves, I am being a crash out tonight. Does anyone ever, people telling themselves all the time, y'all have never seen me drive a car. Do you think I might drop a little bit of an F-bomb every now and again when I drive a car? You don't have to see me drive a car to know that I'm probably going to drop a couple F-bombs behind the car, because you've seen me host a podcast. So I've watched Selfish Basketball many times. Many times. I've watched Chris Bosh do it when he was trying to become an all-star. I've watched players do it when they're trying not to be traded or when they're trying to make an all-NBA team. I watched Pascal Siakam do it. I watched Fred VanVleet do it. It is naturally selfish. Like, a little bit of selfishness is probably okay and probably human. I'm not asking people to be like selfless cyborgs, but there is a issue, which is to say that there are certain players on this team that sometimes, maybe when things are going wrong, decide, well, I guess it's my turn to do something. And they completely abandon the game plan. And if you listen to Scottie Barnes and if you listen to Darko Rajakovic, they have called this out about 50 times in various pressers, in various post games. Like, they have called it out multiple times. They've never called out anyone specifically. They've never said, well, Ingram, or well, Grady, or well, this guy or that guy. They've never done that. But they've always said, we need to stick to our principles. We need to keep doing the things that got us the lead. We need, and what are you talking about? Who are you talking about? It's consistent. So this is a very disappointing loss for the Toronto Raptors. This was a winnable game. And I hate to tell you this. Look at the standings, right? Look at the standings, my friends. Okay. This is not good. Okay. The Toronto Raptors are losing ground fast. Okay. This is a team that is now 5th. This is a team that, if they win the last 2 games, would be 2nd. They are now 5th. Philly is climbing fast. Joel Embiid is healthier than ever. Orlando, the team that you just lost to, you don't want to get out of this little zone here. The Raptors were top 3 a game ago. They were a game away, half a game away, beating the Knicks, from being in 2nd. And now you're in 5th. And falling from 2nd to 5th when you were leading for both games, to lose both games against teams, by the way, that were missing really important players that would obviously complicate your life further. Like, is anyone here under the impression that Mitchell Robinson wouldn't have made the Raptors win against the Knicks harder? Of course. Deuce McBride? Of course. My God, I don't want to see Emmanuel quickly trying to dribble up the court against Deuce McBride. He'd probably get 4 steals. That's tough, man. It's a very, very tough situation where you are getting blessed to not have to face Franz Wagner. You don't have a positive matchup for Franz Wagner, period. Like, you can, like, how many players do you want Scottie to guard? Scottie did a great job guarding Paolo tonight. Did a great job guarding him. And then Anthony Black and Jalen Suggs go off, and Desmond Bane goes off. And it's just like the same thing as the other night. You do a great job of stopping Jalen Brunson and Karl-Anthony Towns, and suddenly Mikal Bridges And, everybody else has a great game. OG Anunoby has a great game. And it's just like, okay, well, you can't have 5 Scotties and he can't guard the whole fucking team. And CMB cannot guard the whole fucking team. And very often, what you're having to do, if you're the Toronto Raptors, if you're Darko Rajakovic, you're having to choose: do I want a good offense or do I want a good defense? Because if I want a good offense, okay, I need RJ Barrett on the court. I need probably Emmanuel Quickly spacing on the court. I need Brandon Ingram on the court. I need Sandro Mamukelashvili on the court. And if I want a good defense, well, I got to have Scottie on the court. Scottie participates in both offense and defense. So Scottie is the one player who can world walk between the two. But Emmanuel Quickly is not offering the same point of attack toughness that Jamal Shed is, but he does offer more length and size. And so even your quote unquote stopper is not actually on the level of other defensively slanted stoppers. Case in point, y'all know I love CMB. I love Jamal Shed, love Jacoby Walter. None of those players right now, in my humble opinion, are better defenders than Keon Ellis. None of those players are better defenders than Jalen Suggs. None of those players are better impact defenders than Goga Batadze. None of those players are better defenders in theory or in practice than Jonathan Isaac or Franz Wagner for that matter. So you are playing defensively slanted players who have defensive skills. They're so offensively limited that it kind of makes it seem like, what would a player who wasn't super offensively limited but was actually a defensive specialist actually look like on this team? And there are plenty of defensive specialists who might be available from teams that are not very good. I mean, take a look at Herb Jones. Take a look at Keon Ellis. Take a look at Day'Ron Sharpe. If you get those three in Toronto at the same trade deadline, I will build a statue of Bobby Webster and put it behind me for the rest of the year. Okay, we got 2 callers. We got Lil John and we got Coach Mo. Lil John, what's up, man?
How you doing, man? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, tonight was interesting game. It was very telling, and again, it's kind of like about your perspective on like how you feel about the team because there was a lot of positives, a lot of negatives. I've been listening to you on the player's choice, and I overheard. I think the last few days you were talking to Chill, who I really like Chill. You were talking about like being honest about where the Raptors rank in the East.
Sure.
And I thought you were I thought you hit it on the head. Like this team, this is like uh happy to not happy to be here, first round exit, but like this is a team that kind of like gets their lumps, wins 2 games, blows a game, gets blown out in a game. Like they're gonna be there, get some experience. You could kind of just tell by tonight's game. It seemed like Orlando had years of experience in the playoffs,
They
and
do.
when they wanted to dial it up and to start that fourth quarter, it seemed like they were like, all right, we're going to turn it up right now. And the Raptors just weren't ready for it.
This is the video you're talking about. Would you mind if I let people hear like a minute of it?
Yeah, no problem.
Okay. Oh, no. I do not support this betting company. Please do not sports bet. I'm sorry. I don't have ad blocker because I am not rich. Sorry, guys. I also don't support Wix Harmony. I probably should just let these ads run before I brought this up. Sorry, guys. A lot of fantastic luck with other teams sitting stars. Case in point, the Lakers. We are 0-2. The Lakers were missing LeBron and missing Luka the first time. In the first half, that is a mistake. The Lakers were not missing LeBron. I misspoke. It was corrected later. My bad. It was really great. The Raptors were up 51-47. Scottie was playing like a dog. Brandon Ingram was hitting everything. RJ Barrett was having a game from hell, quite frankly. Uh, and Jalen Brunson and Karl-Anthony Towns couldn't score, and that was largely by design. Colin Murray Boyles and Scottie Barnes did a great job on those two. Unfortunately, it opened the door for Tyler Kolek, Mikal Bridges, and OG Anunoby to go absolutely insane. And OG had himself a game. Mikal Bridges scored 19 points in the second half. The Raptors were up 11 points at one point in the third quarter, and then it just all went to shit. There was a controversial call on Brandon Ingram on a kickout. He was upset. The Raptors didn't challenge. I think the referees were a little bit biased there, and the Raptors just completely lost their way against a Knicks team, mind you, that was missing Mitchell Robinson, missing Deuce McBride, and in a game that they won by nearly 30. I will remind you, Jalen Brunson was a +3. They don't tell you to take +-2 seriously, but in all seriousness, Tyler Kolek was amazing yesterday. It was a revelation. So Jalen Brunson's game, which just came down to OG, amazing.
It's not bad. No, that doesn't really hold up.
The Raptors are now 29-20. They are one win away from matching their win total from last year. So anything, honestly, they're playing with found money at this point. I don't like. I speak to
Pen. I'm not going to let you off the hook with that. They're playing with found money. No, they're not.
Not how that
they are.
You traded for.
You had them
Ingram.
as a 6 seed. You didn't get to do that.
No, you don't get to do that, Pen. No, you traded for
Bruce Brown.
You traded for Brandon Ingram. You 100% did that, right? You sold me, and when I say sold me, I'm talking like a Gucci couch. You sold me Scottie Barnes. So the idea
Scottie's amazing.
So they're playing with house money. No, they are not. No, this team definitely
this is house money. They're one of the 8 youngest teams in the league. Right. They are missing a starting center.
Big time expectations. They've had big time.
No, they do not. You do not have.
That doesn't mean every win over 30 wins is a successful season. That's not.
No. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is this is a team that in the month of January had the chance last night, which they squandered, unfortunately, to match their win total from the previous year. This is a team that is going to get 40 plus wins. Now, whether they get 44, whether they get 47, whether they get 50, whether they get 52, if they get healthy and start rolling and teams start, tearing it down and start tanking late and the Raptors get some fake wins. I just want to let people know among the teams that are above that record of 29-20, one of these teams does not belong. No offense to the Toronto Raptors. Shout outs to my Raptors. I'm not going to be a homer up here. We're not as good as the other teams that are 29-20. We have had a lot of fantastic luck with other teams sitting stars. Case in point, the Lakers. We are 0-2. And that's basically the point that I'm making here. You can't just buy the record. You can't just buy some fluky, well, with RJ Barrett, this happens and that happens, because I've watched the games. I've watched all the games, and it's not sustainable. When other teams start realizing you're a good team and you start taking the other team's best punch, you're not sneaking up on anyone anymore. Your playbook has been exposed. Your players are exposed. Their strengths and weaknesses are exposed. Yeah. Anyways.
Well, yeah, and it makes it better for the players because like now the games are like harder now. It's not as easy as it was in November.
Absolutely. Other teams have rounded into form.
And also, not just from like a health standpoint, like teams like they realize like their tendencies now. Like I don't know if you've noticed, but teams are going at Mama a lot more now. And like they weren't doing that in November because they kind of were like, all right, this is kind of like a weird team. We don't really get this team. Now, like they realize the team's so good defensively, and they're like, all right, Mama is probably the pressure point, right? So like the teams are starting to figure out how to play against this.
Wow. I mean, that's definitely part of it, but it's just like, there's a gimmick, with Scottie and CMB. I think they're really good defenders, but there's like,
I think you're being a little hard on CMB.
He's a completely left-handed playmaker and left-handed offensive player. It's a very schemable thing.
It is schemable, but again, it's not his fault. Like he also has to play with Scottie, and Scottie has to play with him. And like
that is an untenable solution without elite spacing around those two. If you want to put Klay Thompson, Kevin Durant, and Steph Curry next to those three, you'll win a championship. If you put anything less than 80% of that level of spacing around those two, you're going to be a pretty rough offense.
Yeah, I completely agree. But I'm saying like I feel like you're a little hard on CMB because CMB, he's basically like, again, he doesn't have as much talent as Scottie offensively, but he is a hub on offense. And he kind of like, he's in the dunker spot, but really he could be at the top of the key in like similar situations to Scottie. Again, he's not as talented, but he could drive the ball. Like there's some stuff that he has.
You haven't seen how often he struggles to finish. You can't. Okay, like,
but that finishing over length.
Do you remember Sam Vecini called Scottie Barnes a 0-level scorer?
Yeah,
CMB is actually a 0-level scorer.
I disagree. CMB was a far better scorer at the college level.
Yes, at the college level. But when you get to the NBA level, unless and dude, this is a 240-pound behemoth of a human being. He is stronger than most NBA players right now. He's stronger than almost every guard in the league, bar maybe 2. He's stronger than a lot of dudes. These kind of guys are very awkward to guard for even bigger players. Guys like Chet don't know what to do with the low center and gravity guys. The point here is when you don't have elite jump, vert, whatever, he doesn't have crazy length. Like when you're talking about Scottie Barnes, there's millions of issues. What papers over some of those issues is the explosion at the rim, the 7'4" wingspan, the 6'9". CMB does not have those gifts. So there's always going to be finishing limitations. Draymond Green still to this day has finishing limitations around length, and he is a much, much more experienced player today. The issue here is if CMB does not become a good pull-up jump shooter, and he cannot become a great three-point shooter, and he cannot become a great finisher at the rim, you are dealing with a very defensively slanted player. I believe that CMB and Scottie are great together because of what they provide on defense, not because of what they provide on offense.
Yep. Yep. Like you said, it's an offensive issue, but again, like I would say, CMB, if Scottie wasn't on on the team and like it's Rashard Lewis, he looks a lot better, and vice versa, right? But like they both get in each other's way.
They
But
can play together. You just need to give him spacing. CMB is an excellent screener, but unlike Jakob Poeltl, he is not an excellent finisher yet. Now, I'm not writing the obituary on a player who's 20 years old today. He is a fantastic young player. I love him. I hope the Raptors don't trade him. I think CMB is one of my favorite rookies and one of my favorite players in the league. The issue here is the amount of spacing that you need to put next to these two. Again, Con Knipple, LaMelo Ball, Brandon Miller. That's what you need to do. You can't put fucking
RJ Barrett.
Yes, you cannot put RJ Barrett next to this guy. That is untenable. Like those two plus RJ is non-starter for me, because now you have RJ, who's a player who often struggles at the rim, struggles from the line, struggles to get pull-ups, struggles from three, and basically you need to create maximum space for RJ, which means RJ and Mamu are a great matchup. But the problem is now how much defense you need to paper over to mask the fact that those two suck on defense. So now you can't bring Grady in because now your defense completely sinks, or you overload Scottie. So, okay, Mamu and RJ, great combination. I'm without even checking, I'm sure that they have a positive net rating, but you would need to put Jacoby, Jamal Shed, and Scottie Barnes next to those two.
To help them defensively. Yeah, I know.
Them defend.
What are your thoughts on us? Like it seems like the Sabonis trade is like real traction there. Like watching tonight's game. I could easily see Keon Ellis being very helpful. I could see Sabonis finishing some of those dump off passes.
Yeah,
I
for
could
sure.
see his.
Sabonis is a great finisher. That's the thing.
I think he fits on this team. I know like people don't like it, but again, half of the trade is to get off of Poeltl's contract. I just don't want to see the 26 pick get involved. That's kind of my holdup.
Right. Yeah,
I want to see them keep the 26 pick. But I see Sabonis like screening. I see him rolling. I see him helping alleviate like the paint, like the lack of paint finishing or paint scoring. If RJ is included, I think I really think he helps, and I don't think a lot of people realize that.
But him plus Scottie plus CMB, that lineup is pretty unplayable. Wouldn't you agree?
Those three will never see the court. Those three will never see the court. Like maybe just some
again,
experience.
like this is the point. Scottie is a blessing in a lot of ways, right? But there are restrictions when you build around a player who isn't a good shooter. You must put an abundance of shooting around him, which means it's the same thing as like building a team around a not so great rim protector. You need to find rim protection. If your center, i.e. Nikola Jokic, is not a great rim protector, you need to find rim protection at the wing, rim protection at the guard. Shout outs to Aaron Gordon. Peyton Watson. This is how you get away with it. You need to compensate for your best player. The Raptors have a best player who is a wonderful playmaker, a wonderful defender, and a pretty good downhill athlete who finishes well around the rim. That to me is the makings of all NBA. If he ever figures out the jump shot, we can talk about first team all NBA or maybe even some MVP votes. But Scottie Barnes shouldn't have to become an MVP for this team to be in the playoffs. Like Paolo has limitations. He's not a great defender. Look at the team around him. Nothing but great defenders, right?
He was so bad in transition today.
Exactly. And that's my point. Cade has limitations too. Every player has limitations. There's not a single player in the league who doesn't have limitations. The most complete basketball player in the league, in my opinion, is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and even he has limitations. So
okay. So wait, what's your thoughts on the Sabonis trade? I didn't hear you. Like, are you pro?
If it
If it's
only
one
costs
pick, right?
if it only costs one pick, I'm okay with it. I'm not excited about it. And
Okay,
I would be double excited about it if it comes with either Malik or Keon, both players that
I
I
prefer
identify
Keon.
as really good for
I
Scottie.
prefer Keon, but like, do you think Keon's worth the first? Like, probably not, right?
No, I
I feel
don't.
like that's the holdup in the NBA. Like,
But if we
oh,
could find a way to solve our spacing crunch while also adding Herb Jones, Daron Sharp, and Keon Ellis, I think like maybe what I'm saying here is this. Either become such a defensively slanted team that you are literally a juggernaut defensively. Like the Raptors are not a juggernaut defensively. They're a top 5 defensive team in large part due to strength of schedule, a little bit of luck. I think just injury luck. There's a lot of things working in the Raptors' favor. They're obviously working harder than everybody else. I don't know who could watch a Raptors game and not notice they're working harder than almost every other team every night, right?
yeah, they
They
play
work
hard.
harder than other teams. Now, what happens to you when other teams work hard too? Is you're going to get exposed in the 7-game series. What happens when another team gets a rhythm for your defensive pressure? Again, by game 2, they're going to figure you out. By game 3, they're going to blow you out. So I think that the Toronto Raptors need to either lean in completely to their defensive, first superstar and either build a incredible defense around him with no weak links and try to become like the greatest defense of all time. Go Thunder route, because I do think Scottie could anchor the best defense in the NBA, or compensate for his limitations as a shooter and put the most space in the world around him and go the Giannis route, where you are not putting anything close to a spacing liability next to him. I'm talking cleared the deck. Brandon Ingram, Grady
Brandon Ingram
Dick
has to go.
stays. No, they stay. BI stays.
Really?
Absolutely. He's a good shooter. He's
He is a good
covered.
shooter, but like I feel like that he operates a little bit too much in the mid range, and that kind of like affects Scottie a little bit.
Let me give you a perfect 5-man unit. It's so simple, it's almost crazy. I'll give you a perfect 5-man unit with Scottie Barnes and Brandon Ingram and CMB. Okay, CMB, Scottie Barnes, Brandon Ingram. Fourth player in that list will be Con Knipple. Fifth player on that list will be Malik Monk. Scottie plays point very often. Con becomes a great screener, creates massive separation on drives. CMB becomes sort of a stretch 5 in this sense, like a catch and shoot stretch 5, not occupying the dunker as often as he does. Brandon Ingram becomes a mid-post hub. Scottie becomes a screener in Ingram's actions. Ingram becomes a spacer in Scottie's actions. This team makes a million times more sense than the current Raptors rotation. Million times. Malik gives you downhill attack. When you initiate through Malik, Scottie goes to corner, or Scottie becomes activated in a 2-man action with Malik, or CMB becomes activated and Scottie is cutting, like RJ Barrett right now. Again, Scottie and RJ have more in common than people realize. Scottie and CMB have more in common. Scottie and Mobo have more in common than people want to realize. You cannot put a team full of Scottie Barnes together because the other guys don't have anywhere near his level of defensive impact. If Scottie Barnes was not impacting the defensive, if he was not impacting the defense the way that he is right now, he'd be a starter level player. I've said this before. Like his saving grace right now is his switchability and his ability. If Scottie was like playing defense like Paolo, he would not like he would he wouldn't be a max player.
Yeah,
You know?
he'd be a bench player.
Yeah. No, I wouldn't. I won't go as far as he'd be a bench player, but he would
he'd be borderline.
He'd be like a role playing like third starter, fourth starter type of guy. He'd basically be the version of him that Player's Choice thinks he is. That's who he'd be. But yeah. Anyways,
So
any final thoughts, Lil John?
yeah, I want to keep up your time. Just like you said, there's 2 paths to go. Which I think it's pretty clearly it's easier to go the defensive route. It's
Sure.
just easier, just from
Herb
like
Jones, Daron Sharp, Keon Ellis. There you go.
Keon Ellis. Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
yeah. And by the way, last thing to say, just the Grady thing. I don't know how many times or chances he has to get like to play in a game like where it's like really physical against a real team, and he looks so out of place. I don't know how many chances we can give him, but I just don't know, man. Like I know people like Lane, they're like, oh, he's 22 years old. Like a lot of the guys on the court tonight were 22 years old, or close to it. You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
I just don't know. But
Yeah.
I'll just say that. Yeah.
All right,
Thanks,
man.
man.
Thanks a lot for calling in. Peace. Okay, some bullshit going on with Doodle Bob. Okay, just let Doodle Bob say whatever he wants to say, and appreciate you, Greg. If you cross a line that I think that you shouldn't cross, I'm sorry to tell you, this is basically my living room. We're all living in it right now. You will be banned. I appreciate all of our moderators, and they're donating their time. They're not getting paid a dime to do this to keep our community on task, on target. And yeah, this is an emotional loss. So chill on trying to tell Greg that he's power tripping or whatever. He's just trying to help out. But yeah, like let's hear what you got to say. If you really want to let people know what you got to say, why don't you call in? Why don't you call in? I'm sure you have access to a phone, and if you don't have access to a phone, maybe ask your mom and borrow her phone. Coach Mo, what up?
Hey, Rob.
How's it going, man?
We don't have another gear. I mean, you said it. We're watching these games, and the Knicks and the Magic, it got to like the second half, around the fourth quarter, and they're like, you know what? Let's turn it up a notch. And particularly, there are certain players on this team.
Mm-hmm.
The young guys, you give them a pass, right? Certain players. Or depending on how much they make, you give them a pass because that's not even their job.
Sure.
But watching IQ and RJ, just inability to match intensity and just get beat. It's like they're just civilians. These last games,
are they NPCs too?
I mean, they may as well be bystanders.
Are they doing that Call of Duty NPC shit where they're just spinning in a circle or in the corner, that kind of thing?
Yo,
Yeah.
anybody that thought IQ's he's had like a good, couple weeks. He won Player of the Week. If these last two games aren't all you need to know to get off this guy as fast as humanly possible, I don't know what to tell you. Paolo Banchero said, I want this guy on a switch every single time down the court.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's another Raptor player aside from Grady Dick that gets targeted more. And at the end of games, you can't target Grady because he's not on the court.
That's true. Maybe he should have been on the court. I think Grady, Mamu, again, like, not saying that this is necessarily the way the Raptors should go, but it's a way that they could go, and I wish that it was a way that they would at least explore going. Sandro, CMB, Scottie, Grady, and Jacoby. Just try it. Just try that lineup for like 3 minutes when things are not going right. At least you get positive spacing. If you're getting cooked defensively, at least don't get cooked offensively as well. Get some positive spacing. Get Scottie going downhill. Get CMB some space to finish. I just think sometimes this team goes away from Scottie. Like, did you notice like how much less Scottie initiated offense in the second half?
Yeah,
like as his game was slipping away from us, he had less and less control over it. And look, man, I'm not this ain't 2021 where I'm gonna scream at all his teammates for not getting him involved and feel bad for him and show clip after clip after clip of Fred VanVleet freezing him out. If at this point, as a max player, as an all-star, as a 24-year-old man, by the way, you are allowing Emmanuel Quickley and RJ Barrett to freeze you out of an offense, I'm sorry, bro. That's a you problem. That's not a me problem anymore. That's a you problem. I'm not defending you if you just go ghost, right? For like fucking a full quarter. You got, like, I mean, Scottie, unfortunately, has to get this through his head. Stop complaining to the refs. I get mad at Jack Armstrong for bringing it up on air. I've gotten mad consistently because he doesn't hold that same energy for other players.
Yeah.
It pisses me off because I watched Pascal do it. I watched DeMar do it. And honestly, those guys were wrong when they did it. They were wrong when they did it. Scottie's wrong when he's doing it. Maybe I should be thanking Jack for holding Scottie to a higher standard than he held those other players. But honestly, it just sounds like hating more often than not. But maybe the hate comes from a good place. Maybe all the extracurricular, bullshit that Jack subjects Scottie's, play to, the attitude issues, he needs to grow up, he needs to stop complaining, whatever, is because he knows deep down in his heart of hearts, somewhere between the beer and the second beer and the third beer and the fourth beer and the fifth beer, that maybe Scottie Barnes' upside is probably far greater than DeMar DeRozan or Pascal Siakam ever was. And maybe he just wants to, as a genuine Raptor fan, see Scottie achieve that end. But if Scottie is ever going to achieve that end, I need to see this complaining to the referee shit go away. It's one thing to plant the seed for the ref. It's another thing to just be crying play after play after play after play. Like, I'm not denying that he's getting fouled. He is definitely getting fouled. He's not complaining about bullshit. He's not a flopper. He is a very ethical basketball player. But man, he needs to stop letting this shit get to him, because he will get fouled. He won't get a call, and then he's useless for 2 straight plays. Can't happen.
These last 2 games, and I was on the boat of, I don't believe we're as good as our record. I've been on that train, because I know there's a couple dudes on this team, when it comes to playoff time, it ain't happening. So I agree. No.
Who do you trust in the playoffs on this team? Who do you trust? Like, who would you say, I would bet that guy is going to show up in the playoffs? Give me a list of 5 players that you trust, if you have 5 players.
Scottie, BI.
I trust them.
Yeah. I trust in CMB's effort and heart.
Okay.
The execution, but again, he's one of those players where he'll get limited minutes if he's struggling, right? The fear people have are certain players that are going to get their 30 minutes and they're going to be awful in their 30 minutes. It's like the Pascal Siakam bubble player, where it's like, okay, buckle up. You're going to get the worst 35 minutes you've ever seen in your entire life. So with CMB, you don't have to worry about that. I believe in Shed. I actually believe in Jacoby Walter. Who I'm feel for? First of all, the number one I'm scared of the most is IQ. Number 2 is probably Grady.
I am most afraid for Emmanuel Quickly. Yes.
Yeah, it's not even close.
Second would be Ochai.
Ooh, I forgot about Ochai. Oh.
Third would be
Grady.
I haven't seen Jakob Poeltl in a playoff series in a very long time.
If he was healthy, I wouldn't be worried about him if he was healthy. But
yeah, I don't know, man. I trust Scottie. I definitely do. I don't trust him in a closeout 4 games about to get swept. That I don't trust him in. But I trust him in a game 1. I trust him in a game 7. I don't know how I feel about him in a game 5 when we're down 3-1. That I don't know, because that's going to take like belief, effort, maturity, and a lot of stuff. I don't know if he's there yet. But in the context of who do I expect to show up in a game, I don't have a lot of faith in Emmanuel Quickly, as I said. I do have some faith in RJ Barrett, believe it or not. I do, like his past playoff performances have given me some hope that he would show up. Jamal Shed, I could go either way. CMB, I can go either way. Jacoby, I can go either way. And I love those guys, but I can go either way on those guys. Mamu, I can go either way. Jakob, I would expect to show up. And he's sharp. He's a smart guy. If he's healthy, I expect him to show up. So it's between Scottie, BI, Yak. Like, again, I guess what I'm saying is I actually do believe in this team a little bit more than the average person. But that being said, that's not to say, like, from a basketball philosophy standpoint, that I believe in what they do. And I definitely do not agree with any more Emmanuel Quickly initiating point guard possessions. Like, there's so much of what goes right for this team on a night-to-night basis comes down to Jamal Shed and Scottie Barnes pushing pace, pushing tempo, organizing offense. And the second it goes into this dude's hands, it's the whole fucking offense goes to a crawl. And if Ingram makes the shot, then we salute and say, look, Emmanuel Quickly assist, Brandon Ingram point. Look, we're good. If RJ makes the cut and IQ successfully doesn't turn it over, and, you know, we're like, oh, look, Emmanuel Quickly, point guard. He sucks at this.
You're horrible.
He just sucks. And there's people that are like, oh man, you bring up that Emmanuel Quickly's not a point guard every single post game live. This is getting repetitive. Let me look directly in the camera. Emmanuel Quickly's not a point guard. I'm gonna bring it up again and again. I don't care. You know why I keep bringing it up? Because he keeps playing the fucking position. He can keep bringing it up because he keeps playing the position.
And we're the only team out of 30 teams that have consistently been playing with no starting point guard and no starting center. We trot that team out there every single night.
Okay. Let me play a little bit of what if we had this. I'm gonna go through like point guard center combinations in the NBA, and you tell me what those teams would look like next to RJ, BI, and Scottie. Okay. So assuming RJ is the 2, BI is the 3, Scottie is the 4. Let me just plug in some 1-5 combinations and see what happens. LaMelo Ball and Musa Diabate.
We're better.
We make way more sense.
Yeah.
Darius Garland, Jared Allen.
Yeah, we're better.
Okay. Jalen Suggs and Wendell Carter.
Better.
Okay. Dennis Schroeder and Domantas Sabonis.
Better.
Oh man,
Sabonis
and you know there ain't nobody in the world who hates Dennis Schroeder more than me and you. But damn,
he can run a fast break.
Okay, this is going to be really triggering for some people, but bear with me. Fred VanVleet and Steven Adams.
We're better.
We're way better. So that's the point.
Yep.
Every combination that I just brought up is like it's better than what we have right now between Jakob and Emmanuel Quickly. It just comes down to Emmanuel Quickly's inability to fit in. There's a similarity between Quickly and RJ. There's a similarity between RJ and Scottie. There's a similarity between Scottie and BI. There's a similarity between Scottie and CMB. There's a similarity between CMB and Jakob. The difference here is if you compare it to, say, the Hornets, who are just one of my favorite teams to watch, or even if you compare it to, for instance, the Spurs, how much of a similarity would you say there is between De'Aaron Fox and Victor Wembanyama, or De'Aaron Fox and Dylan Harper? I mean, that's probably a bad example. A good example would be, ironically, the Charlotte Hornets. Con Knipple and LaMelo Ball are fundamentally almost like opposite players. They have such a beautiful fit together because they're so different. They have similarities, of course. They can both shoot, but they're so different in the way that they shoot. They're so different in how they get their shots. They're so different in their strengths and weaknesses. And I think that is very important. That redundancy thing is what kind of did the Raptors in the first time. Remember when they had like Thaddeus Young, Precious Achiuwa, Scottie Barnes, Pascal Siakam? You're like, okay, I get it, but you have the 4 fucking same players. You can't keep doing this. And even if one of those players is decidedly better than the other ones, having 4 versions of the same player, with one being a star version of that player and one being a bench version of that player, isn't good roster building. You know, like Musa Diabate is awesome because he plays with guys who create space. The space is what allows him to be the elite offensive rebounder. You couldn't win basketball games with 3 Musa Diabates any more than you could win the basketball game with 4 Brandon Millers. Like, again, the Raptors get obsessed with the type. They get heavy blind spots, you know? Oh, we love these long athletic wings. Cool. OG, Pascal, Scottie. Notice how they're each thriving in very different situations. But ironically, Pascal thrived in a situation where he was the only player like himself. OG is thriving in a situation where he is largely the only player like himself. And there's some similarities between him and Mikal Bridges, but look at Mikal Bridges as a pull-up jump shooter and just very different types of players, right? And it's the same thing with Scottie. Scottie needs a place where he's the only Scottie, and everything else will work off of that. So every single player that I brought up with like super Scottie-isms, those players probably need to get the fuck out of the way and bring in players that you actually don't have. 7-foot rim protectors, dynamic, creative point guards with defensive issues, combo guards with wiggle and burst and pull-up jump shooting ability and an ability to get 2 feet in the paint. I'll construct a team for you right now that makes sense and was probably very gettable. Anthony Simons, Malik Monk, Scottie Barnes, Brandon Ingram, and Day'Ron Sharpe. Totally makes sense. You know how much space Anthony Simons and Malik Monk are creating on the perimeter? Like that, just that 2. Yes, there's defensive liability for sure. You know, you're not a top 5 defense with that unit for sure. Anthony Simons and Malik Monk, 2 of the worst worst defensive backcourt in NBA history, right there. But man, you'd be so much better offensively. Scottie and BI would be so much more efficient. there's a lack of lead creator, so it would naturally funnel decisions into Scottie and BI, but those decisions will be better because there'd be exponentially more space. Add Kristaps Porzingis to that. Porzingis was available. Fuck, add Porzingis to that, and now you got space galore. Like, my point is, this team just decidedly doesn't get what the fuck they're doing sometimes. It's really frustrating.
It all goes back to Bobby and roster construction.
It really does.
It's this team just every night they're fighting themselves, and we're a first round fodder, bro. We're a first round fodder. Unless Scottie and like BI drag us to the second round, it's not happening.
Winning 4 games against the same team is really difficult. I don't think people understand how difficult it is. And to the people who find that it'll just be a cakewalk, you need to go and watch those early Raptors games, in We the North, like how the Raptors eked out those wins and whatever. I think the Raptors as a team in 2013, 2014, when they made that trade for Gravis, and like basically it just made so much more sense. That roster made a lot of sense. But look at that roster. Kyle, DeMar, Terrence Ross, Amir Johnson, Chuck Hayes, Graves Fast. These are not superstars. They're not great players. There's no one player in that list who's even I don't think anyone on that team was as good as Scottie or BI, to be honest. But they were different. The pieces worked. They fit. There was enough spacing. Like Gravis would be so good right now. Patterson would be so good right now. It's a weird thing. And it's so funny that the Raptors haven't figured this out, because their championship core was like a perfect example of this. Kawhi, Pascal, such different players. Like, at least at that stage in their career, so different players. Serge, Mark, so different. Kyle, Danny, so different. Norm, OG, so different. Like the distinctness of these players. I don't know what happened to this team after 2021. It's just like they lost their vision, they lost their way, and instead of constructing proper basketball teams, it's almost like they started constructing asset bases. Like Precious is cool. It's ironically, it's a little bit like the Magic, if I'm being honest. Jalen Suggs, Paolo Banchero, Franz Wagner. There is so much overlap on that team. You're just like, man, how much better would Franz Wagner be with like LaMelo Ball and Con Knippel? Like, he'd be amazing. If I could put Franz Wagner in place of Miles Bridges in Charlotte, I would pick that team to come out of the East too, by the way.
Well, at least their overlap is, high talented, valuable assets at the very least. But these players get in each other's way, and then they actually reduce the value of any one individual piece. We're not seeing the best of Scottie or the best of Ingram right now because the pieces around them don't make sense, right? Yeah, and holding on to them longer won't make them fit. Like, the more they play won't make them fit better.
Agreed.
And the last thing I want to say is, people are talking about the trade deadline and all that. I don't want to parse out any picks. I agree. If it's not for a young player with upside, you trade for the future. You don't trade for now. I don't think we're good enough to compete. And the number one priority for this front office has to be getting off long-term money. It has to be IQ or Yak. One of those guys got to go. Both contracts can't exist on this team going forward, at least past the summer. One of them got to go. Because at some point, you have to address your books. Because if you don't address your books, if you don't address those two contracts, you are destined for mediocrity until those contracts leave. It just can't happen unless you get a Con Knippel type rookie that is just way. You get somebody on the cheap that exceeds their value. It's just not going to happen.
Agreed.
That's more important than getting talent, is getting off money to actually make decisions, because these contracts are handicapping you. You're frozen in RJ. The RJ decision is frozen in time until you fix your books.
Yeah.
There's no way you can pay RJ and not have gotten rid of IQ or Yak. There's no way you can do it.
Yeah, and I'm just like reading the room on most teams around the league. I don't think most people think RJ is worth 27 million, much less a pay hike on 27 million. Like, Raptor fans can tell me all day that he's worth 27 million. I'll tell you right now, he's not worth 20. He's worth 18. He's in the DeAndre Hunter sphere of basketball player, which is comfortably 16 to 18 million. The gap between RJ Barrett, Malik Monk, Anthony Simons, this is the conversation we're having here. That's the level. That's the area. He's not Trey Murphy level. He's not Jalen Johnson level. So anyone talking about $30 million for RJ Barrett can go kick rocks. Okay, that's just crazy. So and someone said DeAndre Hunter is also overpaid. I ain't disagreeing with you. I think he's overpaid too. But if you're gonna pay players 35 million plus, 30 million plus, they better be like all-star or all-star adjacent players who have insane portability or plug into every lineup. Like OG Anunoby is not a good enough player to warrant 39 million. I agree with that. And I'm a big OG fan. I am. Okay. But
you can win with him making that money. You can win with him making that money.
One, that. Two, there will always be market for him. So as an asset, it makes sense. It's like, honestly, I don't know. Do you buy stocks? Do you ever invest in stocks?
I used to. Now I just do like ETFs.
Cool.
I don't do individuals anymore.
So
I like to sleep at night.
That's interesting. So certain stocks have, I think you can call it like resistance. There's support, right? And the support for a stock is basically like where people would buy in hordes if it ever got there, right? So a good example right now would be Netflix. Netflix, they had a reverse stock split. They went from $1,000 a share to around $100 a share. There was that whole thing with Warner Brothers and, you know, buying their library, litigation, you know, the Paramount deal. And now Netflix is closer to like $84 a share. Okay. I believe that there is strong support for Netflix at $70 a share. Maybe that support doesn't exist for a stock that is less in terms of volume, less in terms of notoriety, less in terms of age, less in terms of stability. In a biotech, that floor does not exist. In a startup biotech that's largely built on speculation, that doesn't exist. Now, whether I think Netflix is worth $84 a share valuation or whether I think it's genuinely worth something less is the same argument as Tesla. It doesn't matter what I think it's worth. It matters what other people think it's worth. Tesla has never been worth its price ever. Like, I've been watching the stock for 15 years. It's not worth what it's worth, but it's worth what it's worth because that's what people think it's worth. And ultimately, mapping out what people think your assets are worth should be how you price your assets. The Raptors paid $32 million to Emmanuel Quickley, knowing damn well there isn't another team in the league that would pay him that value. That made him feel special. That made them feel special. But ultimately, that makes you look like a fool in my eyes because paying people something that nobody else in the world would pay them means there's a limited market when you eventually have to move off of them. Now, if you never move off of them, it's perfectly fine. But it's the same thing with the Ken Birch thing. I hate repeating myself, but this is kind of the trend with this front office is they like to think that they're really smart and that everyone else is really stupid. That people like me went online and said 32 million is an insane amount to pay for Emmanuel Quickley. I would top out at 25. Now I'm realizing that I was wrong too. 25 would be high.
Yeah.
I probably should have said 22 because he ain't that far from the Anthony Simons tier either because he's not Derek White, and Derek White is who makes 30 million. So he's lower than Derek White in terms of an overall impact. He's certainly not in the Jalen Brown and Jason Tatum tier. So who on the Celtics is really that he is the closest to? It's Anthony Simons. Anthony Simons makes about $20 million a year. So that's kind of like, yeah, like I feel like it's the same thing with the Jakob thing. It's just like everyone's kind of laughing at us right now. It's like, who asked them to extend them 3 years, 84 million? Like, who were you competing against?
And why would anybody come rescue you? Yeah. Why would anybody do you any favors? You've basically removed yourself from contention by signing those contracts. And if I'm a rival team, that's what I would believe. And I'm like, why would I dig you out of a hole? Why would I do that? Now, you said if the player never leaves your team, it doesn't really matter what you paid them. It's actually twofold. If you never intend on trading them, it doesn't matter what you paid them. And if you never plan on being competitive, or if your goal is to not win a championship in that contract lifespan,
your mic's rumbling a little bit.
Sorry, if you never try to win a championship during that contract's lifespan, then it doesn't matter what you paid them. But the problem here is we want to win, so it actually matters.
I'm going to name out some players that make around what Emmanuel Quickley does, and I want you to tell me honestly if this player is better or worse than Emmanuel Quickley. Okay? We will start actually at the range, which is 5 million above him, which is Scottie Barnes.
Okay.
Franz Wagner, Michael Porter, Shea, Brandon Ingram, LaMelo Ball, Tyrese Maxey, De'Aaron Fox. I don't know why the hell I said Dayron Fox. I got Dayron Sharp on my mind, man. Bam Adebayo. Nobody yet, right? But luckily, we're not in Emmanuel Quickley territory yet. Desmond Bane, Kyrie Irving, Rudy Gobert, Jalen Suggs, Jaren Jackson, Jalen Brunson, Alperen Sengun, Chris Middleton expiring. Would you expiring right now?
Yes, I would.
Yeah, me too. Jalen Green. Would you trade him for Jalen Green right now?
I would.
Yeah.
I would, because the contract length is shorter.
Would
And
you
there's
trade him?
more upside.
Would you trade him for Drew Holiday right now? $32.4 million. So this is the first player that makes less than Emmanuel Quickley.
I would.
Okay.
I think in the playoffs, Drew Holiday would help more than Emmanuel Quickley.
Jeremy Grant, $32 million. This is tough. This is like, and his contract escalates. So both he and Drew do not have flat contracts, but their contracts do run out a year before.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would do it.
I would actually keep Emmanuel Quickley over Jeremy Grant, but I can see the vision, and honestly, Jeremy Grant might fit better on this team. Jordan Poole, 2 years, 31.8, 34 next year. I would do it just to have the 34 million expiring next year.
Yeah.
Tyler Hero, 31 million.
Done. I'll do
obviously. it. Julius Randle, 30.8 million.
The fit is going to be absolutely insane. The question now becomes, how much do you value the contract ending a year early?
Exactly. That's pretty much what it is. DeJounte Murray, a lot of injuries, a lot of issues. I wouldn't touch DeJounte Murray, and DeJounte is one of my favorite players. So just FYI, but it goes up and then it goes down. I do believe that this is a player option in that third year for DeJounte. So the Pelicans are fucked. But yes, it does end a season early, and DeJounte is very injured. So maybe Emmanuel Quickley. You keep Emmanuel Quickley over DeJounte Murray? Okay. Kristaps Porzingis expiring. I'll take 100%. CJ McCollum expiring.
I'll take that.
Jalen Johnson.
I'll take
obviously
that.
Jalen Johnson.
I'll take it.
Isaiah Hartenstein. Obviously Isaiah Hartenstein. Andrew Wiggins. Of course, Andrew Wiggins. Derek White.
Yeah, I take Derek White.
And now we are at RJ Barrett, which is hilarious.
I'd take RJ Barrett. I take RJ Barrett over Emmanuel Quickley with that contract. Yeah.
Anthony Simons, $27 million expiring.
I take it.
Devin Vassell, $27 million. $27 million.
Yeah, I take it. I take
Me too. Terry Rozier, $26 million expiring.
I take the contract.
$26 million for Tobias Harris expiring. $26 million. John Collins. Okay, cool. Draymond Green, $25 million with a player option.
I take the contract.
DeAndre Ayton's contract off of Portland cannot be traded because he's already playing for the Lakers. Nick Claxton, 25, 23, 20.
I take it. We need a center.
100%. Nick Claxton, you're adding picks to that. Miles Turner, 25, 26, 27, 29.
Whew. This is where it gets interesting.
Miles Turner is where it gets interesting?
No, I'd still do it because we need a center.
Yeah, I don't like him. Here's where it gets really interesting. Would you trade him right now for Fred VanVleet? 25 million and 25 million expiring next year?
25 expiring. I'll take it.
Oh, dear God.
It can actually be moved.
This is like the circle of hell. Okay. Miles Bridges, 25 million, 22.8 next year.
I'll take the contract.
Josh Giddey, 25 million flat.
Oh, easy.
Easy peasy. Trey Murphy, 25, 27, 29, 31. Easy. Mikal Bridges, 24, 33, 36, 38. So
Easy.
Same length of contract. Okay. DeMar DeRozan, 24 and 25 million.
The contract is movable next year.
Okay. Jaden McDaniels, 24, 25,
oh my
28,
God,
29.
Yes.
DeAndre Hunter, 23 and 24.
Yes.
Okay.
Give me that contract, please.
Okay. Aaron Gordon. Yeah, obviously. Damian Lillard.
I'll take it.
Jonathan Kuminga.
Okay. Damian Lillard. Ooh.
Damian Lillard can't be traded by Milwaukee, and he's already signed a new contract with Portland.
Yeah,
they're just eating the book.
Team option? Yeah, please.
Kyle Kuzma, 22 million.
I'll take the contract.
Fuck me. Okay, Dylan Brooks, 22, obviously.
Oh, 100%.
Contavious Caldwell-Pope, 21.6 million this year, 21.6 million next year.
That contract.
Nasri, 21, 23, 25, 26.
That would be armed robbery, and I'll take it.
How many picks are you adding to Nasri?
Right?
Two first-round picks?
No more than 2.
Okay, Nikola Vucevic, expiring.
Give me the contract and the player.
Norman Powell. How many picks are you adding to to get Norman Powell expiring? Like
at least.
one, I'm adding one pick to Norman Powell expiring, and then I'm like figuring out how I'm negotiating something less than 30 million with him. Cameron Johnson, 21 and 23. I'm adding picks to that. Jared Allen, 20, 28, 30, 32. Okay, Jakob Poeltl. Jakob Poeltl is the only player I wouldn't trade.
Situation, I don't know if I do.
He is one of the only players that I would not trade Emmanuel quickly.
And guess what? He's on our
and
team.
we're like, do you see the point?
Yeah.
Our contract sucks so bad.
And that's where the DeAndre Hunt, DeJounte Murray one was also the iffy one because of the injuries.
Yeah. Well, I hope this has been a depressing but important exercise in
Contracts
understanding
matter.
how fucked we are contractually. I don't ever want to hear somebody say that Bobby Webster is a cap genius. I don't want to hear that because that's cap. It's literally cap.
And there's no way that this Raptors team can be competitive, like build a championship roster around Scottie and BI with the IQ and Yak contracts on the books. It's just not possible. It can't be done.
And yet you have people online who swear that that they don't belong in a mental institution, who are like, Jakob Poeltl and Emmanuel Quickley for Mikal Bridges. I'm like, what? There are people that are saying the Anthony Davis trade should be Jakob Poeltl, Emmanuel Quickley, and a pick. What? Did the Dallas Mavericks lose their mind?
I know.
Like you're trading two negative assets or borderline negative assets. In the case of Emmanuel Quickley, I don't think he's negative. I think he's neutral, but I think he's expensive. With Jakob right now, with his injury, it's actually negative. So again, it's a little bit like the Thaddeus Young 2 for 8, the Chris Boucher 3 for 34. It's just like people need to take a real look at the contracts the Raptors have signed. And honestly, if I wasn't like trying to do pen dance right now, and I would make a documentary about this is like the worst. It's just such a horribly run, like just in terms of this thing. Like I like their drafting for the most part, but this one thing, when it comes down to negotiating contracts, they're so bad at it.
The contracts and the team, and then the actual players that fit next to each other. All this will be exposed in the playoffs. I think it's going to be a rude awakening for certain people when the playoffs start.
Yeah.
Very, very rude awakening is going to happen.
Yeah. Well, you know what I'm kind of hoping for, and this might be counterintuitive, and some Raptor fans may say I'm not a real Raptor fan, and I'm hoping for this. Low key, I kind of hope we make the play-in as like the, I don't know, 7 seed?
Yeah.
Right? And then get bounced in the play-in. And then keep our lottery pick. And then somehow like get a top 4 pick in the lottery. Wouldn't that be amazing? Because you get the experience. You get mopped, obviously, because if you were 7th, that means you lost twice in the play-in. So you get the evidence that, hey, we're close, but we're obviously very far. But you still keep your lottery pick and you get a top 4 pick. What if we get the second pick? What if it could be like a Cooper Flag thing? Because the reason I say this is because the West is stronger than the East, right? So when we talk about lottery records, East and West don't matter. So the 7th seed in the East might be worse than the 10th, 11th seed in the West. I don't know. I have to look at the standings right now, but it's possible that the Raptors could have a fantastic season, miss the playoffs, and still keep their lottery pick. It could be like the Dallas Mavericks last year.
What's your prediction? Because the trade deadline's on the 5th, so that would be Thursday. What's your prediction? We just don't do anything? Do we at least get an actual a 5? Do we at least get a big?
It's so easy to get a big. I would be surprised if we didn't. Okay, right now, ironically, we just lost to the 7th seed. They're 25 and 22. So if this holds true, they have a win-loss record of 53%. So they are technically worse than the Golden State Warriors, who are 8th. So let's just say, for instance, in this situation, in this miraculous situation, the Timberwolves, the Warriors, they both missed the playoffs. The Raptors missed the playoffs. Technically, the Raptors would have the 11th. I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, 9, 10. Yeah, it would be like they would have the 10th or 11th odds. And I think 11th odds is where Atlanta was when they got Zach Ricochet. And I think 9th or 10th odds is where Dallas was last year when they got Cooper Flag. So maybe. I'm not even saying we got to jump up to 1. I'd just be happy to jump up to 4 and fall ass backwards into this thing. And then that way you can add an actually prized asset. And now, if you add a top 4, top 5 pick next year, I actually don't have any issue at all trading multiple firsts to get really, really good, really fast. Because now our future is somewhat secure. You got Scottie, you got the top 4 pick, you got CMB, hopefully get a little bit of development from Grady or Jacoby or one of these guys and Jamal Shed. And now, okay, we're good. I just feel like the Raptors maybe jumped the gun a little bit, trying to be good. Maybe.
What do you mean jump the gun? Like the BI acquisition?
No, I think the BI acquisition is fine. It's just like if you're going to go balls to the wall with trying to win basketball games at all costs, you know what I mean? Like you're trying to be something that you're not. Like demonstrably, like you can look at your roster up and down and just say, we have too many issues to try and be something that we're not right now. Like trying to get home court in the playoffs. Basically, like how many times have the Raptors picked like 19th, 20th, whatever, 21st, or how many times have we seen the 21st? Whereas like if you would just pick 15th or 16th, it would have made a monumental difference in the type of prospects you can get. Now, I'm not suggesting tanking. I'm definitely not going to be pro tank at all this year at any point. I'm just saying at this point in my mind, I'm just like, okay, is it possible? Because right now we're not that far away. We're really not that far away. Like right now, we are 29 and 21. The team that just beat us is 25 and 22. I believe Orlando, Miami, Philly, Cleveland can all pass us if we have a bad week. So now you're battling Atlanta potentially for a play-in spot. Maybe Cleveland, maybe Miami, maybe Orlando. Which one of these teams is definitively going to take a loss in the first round? And it's just like, what's the worst that can happen here is you make the playoffs as the 8th seed and then you match up with the Pistons. Cool. I have no problem with that. Let's go face the Pistons as the 8th seed. What my issue is if you're not a contender, what difference does it make if you're 2nd seed or 8th seed? That's kind of my view.
Mm-hmm.
You're costing yourself 6 spots on the pick, right? 6 spots on the pick is significant in a draft this good, man. The 15th pick might be significantly better than the guy who's available at 21, 22, 23. So if the Raptors continue to climb and they don't have a realistic shot in hell, what's better? Like if I give you 2 situations. Situation number 1, we're the 8th seed and we play Detroit really competitive and we take them to 6 games, but they whoop us in game 6. Or situation number 2, we go on a miraculous run right now. We get the 1 seed and then we lose to the 8th seed Miami Heat. Because fucking Spoelstra runs zone and we can't stop Tyler Hero from scoring.
The latter. But
like the home court thing only matters. Like again, home court is a compounding advantage. People don't realize this, or maybe people do realize this, but intuitively they've never heard people say this. Home court for championship contenders is a compounding advantage that you should want. If you're a title contender, having Game 7 of the NBA Finals potentially on your home court is a very big deal. The issue is, if you're just going to get bounced in the 1st or 2nd round, then the home court advantage that you're vying for, that you're losing draft positioning for, doesn't make a hell of a lot of sense because you don't even reap the advantage of it. You're not even a bad road team. You're a good road team. I actually would prefer we start our playoffs out on the road. I think we have a better shot of winning in the playoffs if we're the road team. Does that make sense? Like, I feel like the pressure on a young team to be a higher seed, to have all these expectations against a veteran lower seed is going to put us in the same position that we were in against the New Jersey Nets in 2007, against the Brooklyn Nets in 2014. It's the same situation. You're going to face a veteran-laden, much more experienced, bigger, stronger team than you, and they're going to whip you in game 1 or game 2. And I know that sounds like I'm talking like a loser. I'm not talking like a loser. I'm talking like a realist. There's no point in costing yourself 5 to 6 draft pick slots just to end up at the exact same result. You know, it's just.
I agree. And I don't think you can do both. I don't think you can fix your cap sheet and acquire talent to help you compete. I don't think you can do both. right? So they're in a dilemma here.
Sure. Yeah.
And I don't know which path they take, but
if we got one more young player, I think I'm willing to roll it. Like, but right now, if we do not get, and again, I'm mentioning Day'Ron Sharpe or Goga Batadze, and it's weird because there was this trade that popped up on X today, which is probably some fake bullshit trade constructed by some Lakers fan, in which Day'Ron Sharpe basically went for nothing. And I was just like, there's no way the league devalues Day'Ron this way. To me, it's like, if you get Day'Ron or Goga and it works, I could see a path where you can beat some of these teams ahead of you. Now, if we can get Scottie shooting the three again, if RJ can get rolling again, CMB can get healthy again, Grady can, figure it out, Brandon Ingram can, figure out how to spot a double team. Okay, now I can see a vision for this. I'm just not one of those people who's very big on dead ends. I hate dead ends. Dead ends piss me off, right? And I will always value there's a value in experience. So a young team that you intend to keep together, i.e. OKC 3 years ago, getting stomped in the first round is not a loss for me. That's amazing. That's good. Go out, get that experience, grow together. But that team that eventually made the playoffs already had Chet, already had Shea, already had J-Dub, which means they already had their core. I don't know if the Raptors have their core. And if people think the Raptors have their core, then you are agreeing that RJ Barrett and Emmanuel Quickley are part of that core, which I just fundamentally don't agree with.
I don't agree with either.
So make a trade, find your core. If you don't find your core, honestly, maybe drop some games later on and try to be a lower seed. I know Rodgers won't like it, but fuck them, man. Honestly,
I don't care if we try to compete just at the trade deadline. I'm happy if we get a big, like a backup big, and we play him starter minutes. I'm okay. Just nothing more than a second. Nothing more than a second. This is fool's gold. We're not really that good. And don't mortgage the future for something like the East is wide open. Yeah, if you're actually good enough to take advantage of it, we're not. Like it's not that wide open where we can win in our current state.
We traded a first-round pick for Ochai Agbaji. I want to say that again. We traded a first-round pick for Ochai Agbaji.
Yeah, and even if that first-round pick is like 29th, I don't care. It's a first-round pick.
Here's the crazy part. We also dumped half a first-round pick to get off Kelly Olynyk, who also came back in that Ochai Agbaji trade. We traded one first-round pick and 2 second-round picks for Jakob Poeltl, which included a lottery pick. Currently, as constructed, you're probably you're having to dump a pick to get off the guy that you dumped 4 picks for or 3 picks for. Mm-hmm. Like this is the cycle of hell with the Thaddeus Young thing all over again. It's a Thaddeus Young cycle of hell. And the Raptors need to stop doing this. So right now, everyone's saying like Domantas Sabonis, multiple first-round picks. Cool. I don't want to be in a situation where 2 years from now, this guy's regressed so badly because the roster redundancies are so bad that now you're having to dump another pick to get off of Domantas Sabonis, who you already dumped 2 picks off of. The market value of something and your book cost cannot always be going the wrong way. It's like if a person told you, yo, I'm a very successful investor. I have Netflix, I have Tesla, I have Bitcoin. And it's like, cool. Let's look at your books here, man. Book cost, market cost, or market value, book cost. And if the person says, it says book cost, he bought Netflix at $114 a share, and now it's $83, and he's lost money on it. That's basically what the Raptors are doing over and over and over again. They buy a declining asset, they overpay for the declining asset, they improve the declining asset, but somehow are able to extract less from the declining asset than the other team that sold them the declining asset in the first place. So it's just almost like, I don't know. I think it's just malpractice, and I'm a little bit worried about the trade deadline, if I'm being honest. I'm a little bit worried. I really do not want to hear that this team dumped multiple first-round picks for some panic win now move because they want to give this core a chance. Like, I'm gonna fucking flip. We needed to give them a center. Like, fuck you. No, you don't. If you can't get a center like for free or for like a heavily protected first round pick, like, and it's a good young center, I don't want a center. Go sign Mo Bamba again. Go sign one from Europe. Go eat the tax bill. Like, people are talking about dumping Ochai Agbaji for Nick Richards, who is a fucking awful basketball player, and adding a second round pick to that. Just trash.
Yeah. I think we're gonna have to address things in the summer, and just no rash moves, no rash decisions. And honestly, the way this front office has been moving, us doing nothing in the trade deadline would probably be a victory.
Possibly. Yeah.
At least we didn't.
It won't be seen as one, but it's better than
Yes.
there's an alternative. Like, I know people will tune into the trade shows. Whoever does a trade show, I'm sure there will be 1,000 people, because everybody, like, Raptor fans may not agree that Scottie Barnes is this or Ingram is this or RJ is this. I think everyone who follows this team can agree that this team needs a trade. They will follow these trade shows with the expectation that the Raptors will make some sort of fleece win now trade that makes them better today. I don't think that they would support any deal in which picks are going out and they're getting worse. As in, I don't think that they will support a team that is currently top 5 in the Eastern Conference dumping money to get worse. So this is where I think this is going to take some cojones and some resolve and some introspection and some self-awareness from this team to understand the fool's gold that they're standing on, even if the rest of the league hasn't figured it out yet. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
like it's one thing to say, okay, well, we're trading Ochai Agbaji for Nick Richards and a second round pick. I don't think most people would care too much. In fact, I think most people would really celebrate that, because they've never watched Nick Richards play a day in their life. And they're just like, oh, wow, we got a 7-footer. The Raptors are amazing. Cool. Until you watch Nick Richards play 2 games, at which point you'll realize why, he sucks. But if they trade RJ Barrett and Emmanuel quickly, or if they trade Jakob Poeltl and RJ Barrett for Jeremy Grant and Damian Lillard's contract or some shit like that, or I don't know, like, if they make some sort of, like, Chris Middleton, CJ McCollum, basically what the Hawks just did, right? They traded Trae Young. They noticed his market value declining. They said we don't want to be in the Trae Young business, and they traded him for CJ McCollum and very little else. And people were mad. Hawks fans were really mad. They're like, I can't believe we got this little for Trae Young. If the Raptors can accept reality on what the actual market value is for their players and are able to get out of the bad business of bad contracts, I believe if you're able to get rid of Jakob Poeltl or Emmanuel Quickley's contract off your books without giving up multiple picks, you have to look at it.
I agree.
Yeah. Anyways, man, thanks a lot for calling in. Appreciate you. Good call. Unfortunately, feels like a little bit like Groundhog Day. Feels like we're talking a lot about the same stuff, but
Yeah,
I feel like,
we'll be free. We'll be free by Friday next week. We'll be free.
You think so?
Yeah, because trade deadline would have passed, and no more trade talk till the summer.
Yeah, and then we won't talk about trades anymore. We'll just talk about how they should have made a trade. Okay, talk to you later, man.
See ya.
See ya. All right. I don't want to be Debbie Downer, so what I'll say is the Toronto Raptors need to figure this out. Their losses have a lot in common. Their wins have a lot in common. And I do believe that it comes down to more than just shot making. The quality of shots that the Raptors are generating in some of these losses is truly abysmal. And I think the Raptors need to take a look at themselves in the mirror and say, what's more important? All-star berth for Brandon Ingram, RJ Barrett touches so that he can, get his next contract. There's a lot of extracurricular stuff on the fringes. And sometimes, unfortunately, when teams start winning, because everyone on this team has successfully bought into team first, we love each other, blah, 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 blah. Sometimes people get greedy. It's a natural thing of humanity, is that when you get everything that you want, you realize that what you want ain't quite scratching that itch that an all-star selection or a max contract would. And so you start to get super greedy. You say, well, this is a good thing, but let me ruin a good thing by making it great. And sometimes trying to make a good thing a great thing makes it a shit thing. And I think that's what's happening with the Raptors the last few games. I do believe that the Raptors are at their best when they go through this egalitarian approach to offense, when they hunt for mismatches, when they pass the basketball. There's no star player on this team who warrants 28% usage, which is why nobody should be getting 28, 30% usage on this team. Nobody. Not Ingram, not Barnes, not RJ, not Quickly, certainly not Jacoby and Grady. They need to move through it. They need to accept the fact that they don't have a player of that quality offensively. They don't have a player with those skill sets offensively. And until you find one, nobody gets to pretend to be one. Because if you want to pretend to be a player like that, then basically what you're doing is you are asking a defense to paper over your shitty offensive process. And you're going to pretend that, hey, we're a 29-win team. You can't say shit to us. People get very cocky and very confident when things are successful. Listen, you can be successful in spite of yourself. You can play a terrible game and still win the basketball game because the other team just self-imploded. It happens all the time. I am looking for replicable, sustainable, repeatable results. I'm looking for a repeatable process, game in, game out. Pecking order. This comes down to pecking order, sets, automatics, everything. I do not believe that the Raptors are playing to the best of their ability right now. And it's really disappointing to watch this team because 2 games ago, we were talking about maybe being second seed. And right now, with how jumbled up the Eastern Conference is, we are talking about a team that may potentially fall into the play-in if they have another bad week. And now it's an uphill battle. So anyways, please like the video on your way out. I appreciate it very much. And we will be doing a members live on Sunday. I will share with the members some cool stuff that's going to Pendance as well. I know a lot of our members, have attended Pendance or have wanted to support Pendance. Pendance passes just went on sale right now or went on sale yesterday. So there's all access pass, VIP pass. I'll definitely tell y'all more about Pendance as we go forward. And hopefully it is not during a time where the Raptors are completely imploding. The Brian Macon interview, which is Scottie's trainer, granted, it's been a week and a half since we actually did that interview. That video will come out, I believe, tomorrow, by tomorrow being Sunday. So same day as the members live. And that will be hopefully coinciding with good news that Scottie Barnes has become an all-star. Now, if Scottie isn't named an all-star, I'm going to be furious. And honestly, despite everything that I've said, about Brandon Ingram's process at times, I believe Ingram has a good case to be made for all-star. Unfortunately, these last 2 games kind of hunting points in the lead up to this, I'm really hoping it was just these 2 games. I'm really hoping it's just like, okay, we love Ingram. We all want him to make the all-star team. So let's just sacrifice these 2 games to get him as many touches as possible and get him as many shots. And Ingram obliged by saying, okay, if y'all want it. This all-star thing has been a huge thing with Ingram, right? It's been a huge thing. He wants to be seen as an all-star. It's a huge thing to be seen this way in the eyes of your peers. It could be really amazing if the Raptors do end up with 2 all-stars, and I think they deserve it, to see these 2 kind of get that mid-season, a lot of people want them to get a break because they're 2 of the minutes leaders in the NBA, but also it could be such a great thing for the Raptors to get 2 all-stars there, and then for them to feel like they're a part of like this community where they're the best and they're among their peers. It can be a very energizing thing. A lot of times guys go on major runs after an all-star break because that weekend infuses them with renewed energy. They're seeing a new hotel, they're seeing new people, so I'm really happy. I think Scottie's going to go on a tear after the all-star break. I think he's going to go absolutely ballistic after the all-star break. The all-star break is in like 2 weeks. So I'm looking forward to it, man. And I'm also really excited that Pendance will only cost me 1 live stream, by the way. The Raptors play on Wednesday. They don't play on Thursday. Don't play on Friday. I think they play on Saturday. They don't play on Sunday. So Pendance happens to be coming at the right perfect weekend. It's perfectly possible that the Raptors could have played Thursday, Friday, and Sunday, and I would have had to miss 3 games. That would be horrible. As it stands right now, I will only miss 1 game, and I believe that game is against Washington. So I'm not crying. All right. I'll talk to y'all later. Have a beautiful, beautiful night, and don't sweat the small stuff, man. Worst case scenario, you get a better pick. Best case scenario, as I said on the player's choice thing, you are totally playing with house money. There's no expectations here. This team has massively exceeded expectations. And hopefully, as you go into the trade deadline, other teams aren't as bearish on Emmanuel Quickley and RJ Barrett's contracts as I am. We'll see. Peace.